So today we're going to take a look at time-saving tips for HOBOware Pro. Come on. Okay, so today's agenda, real quickly here, we're going to take a look at who Onset Computer is. From there, we're going to dive into HOBOware and look at launch and read out time-saving options, as well as how to open multiple files quickly, and then get into what we call our bulk export tool and some of the export preferences there. And finally, we'll touch on some of the pop-up warnings that we continue to see in HOBOware. There we go. All right, so who is Onset Computer? Well, we were founded in 1981. We're in our 30th year in business. We basically have 120 employees, and we're located in Bourne, Massachusetts on Cape Cod. This is our only facility, and we do design and manufacture everything out of here. So all the software and the hardware and the firmware is designed here. Really, we got our name back in 1990 when the first turnkey Hobo data logger came out, which basically allowed you to easily program your logger and your software without a lot of complicated programming. So really, the overview of today is just how to minimize your time in front of the computer when you're setting up a large number of Hobos. We are compatible with both Windows 7 and the latest Apple operating system. And before we get going, just in terms of questions, please feel free to type in questions, any and all points, and I'll try to answer them as time goes along here. So really what it comes down to is, what are your preferences? Within HOBOware, we have a bunch of features that are under the Preferences tab that allow you to kind of customize HOBOware and how that works for you. And the first thing that we're going to take a look at here is our launch time-saving options. There's a couple things that you can change right within HOBOware, which we're going to switch over and take a look at how to do that here. So let me flip over to HOBOware. So to find your preferences, you're going to click on File, and then we come down to Preferences. And we have the General tab here. So the first thing that we're going to open up is our launch time saving options. And what we're going to do here is make a couple changes. So you can either automatically launch your data logger, or you can show the launch screen each time. What I'd recommend is actually showing your launch screen each time, because it does allow you to change your description field. Whereas launching it automatically, everything will have the same description. And then as far as how do you fill up the launch window, we're going to go with the previous launch. So basically what you can do is set up one logger, and then all these features will automatically be populated into the other loggers. So what I'm going to do here is just hit OK, and then we're going to jump into the launch menu, and we're going to set up one of our loggers here. And we hit OK. Now what I'm going to do is make a couple changes. So we have the logger description. We'll keep that here. What I'm going to do is turn off the light intensity, and then we're going to change our sampling rate here to every 5 seconds. Typically when I'm launching multiple loggers, I do like to use the delayed start feature so everybody starts at the same time. But for today, what we're going to do is launch these immediately. So basically I have everything set up the way that I want it right now. So what I'm going to do is come down here and select Launch. This is going to send the information out to the logger. What I'm going to do is unplug that, and I'm going to plug in my next one. And I did something quick here and didn't show you, but Control L or Command L will immediately get you to the launch screen. So if you want to speed up some time and use key commands, you can do that as well. So we're going to open up our second logger. As you can see, it holds the description from before. It holds all the channels to log, our launch option, as well as our sampling rate. So what I'm going to do is just change the description here, and then just hit launch. And again, what I'm doing here is just launching a bunch of loggers to get us up and going, and trying to use some of the key commands really to shorten my time here. And you can hit the enter button for both OK and launch. So again, we've got everything here. I'm just going to change our description, and I'm going to hit the enter key, which then launches the logger. And we'll go finally to our fourth logger here. Plug this guy in. And hit launch. So essentially what we've done, let's just get this guy out there. All right, so what I've done is quickly and easily launched all of the same loggers. This is really beneficial when you're using the same logger type. I was using a U12-012. Sorry. And what this allows you to do is just really minimize your time while you're in HOBOware and go through and set up a lot of loggers. Next, we're going to take a look at readout time-saving options. And sorry, I didn't change my preferences here. So what we're going to do is show you how to automatically save a data file and automatically plot it, or not. You have the option to do both here. And again, this is set up in your preferences. So what I'm going to do is flip back over to HOBOware. And again, we'll come back up into our preferences. Again, if you want to get there quicker, you can hit Control, comma, and that'll open up your preferences for you. And we come down to the readout time-saving options. Now, there's a couple different features here. The way that this defaults to is it's going to show your dialog box, your plot dialog box every time, and ask you if you want to save it. So what I'm going to do is just click automatically save. And then what I'm going to do also is bypass the plot setup screen. So I just automatically plot. And what I will leave checked here is to have the software ask me if I want to stop or don't stop the logger from running. In this case, I'm just doing a short deployment, so I want to stop the logger, so I want that pop-up to actually happen. And one other preference here that we should probably set right now is actually under the plotting, and then the plot setup. And what I want to have happen here is I want to have basically all the data series automatically plot, and then what I don't want to see is the events. So you do have the ability to show when the logger was connected to the computer and if the button was pushed and fun stuff like that, but I'm not really interested in looking at that. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to hit OK. And then we're going to come back to some of these loggers that we had in here and start reading them out. Now again, to save time, you can just click Control-R, and that'll get you to the readout screen. So what happens is I'm going to hit stop. It downloaded and plotted automatically for me. And basically, I just come on to my next logger here, and again, hit readout. And we're going to hit stop. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of data here, but the nice thing about our USB loggers is that it is a very quick download. In this case, it's very quick because of the few data points that I have here. In the case of a completely full logger where you've filled up your 64K of memory, it's going to take roughly about 30 seconds for a full logger to download. And we'll just stop this. So here we have our 4 data files here. And then in terms of where that was all being saved, bear with me here just 1 second. We're going to open up, I had everything being saved basically to the desktop in a webinar folder. And these last 4 files here are the ones that we just put in. So that's how to automatically read out your data loggers and really kind of skip some of the steps in between. And again, this was the plotting setup that you'll probably want to do before you get into the automated readouts. Again, it's something that'll just help you speed up and bypass some of the screens. So next, we're going to take a look at how to open multiple files all at once. And again, we'll flip over to HOBOware. We come back up to our preference. Again, control comma will get us right back into the preferences screen. And we're going to come down to open time saving options. And what you can do, again, is either show the plot setup or just automatically plot. And then again, we have our plotting preferences set from before. And what I'll do is hit OK. And to open, Control O. And this brings me back to my files here. Now, you can select multiple files by holding down the Control key or the Command key for our Apple friends out there. And what we'll do is just hit Open. As you can see up here right now, I've got 4 files with all the underscore. And what we'll do is just hit Open. And immediately it went through and just opened up these additional 4 files. So really a quick way to just get some information open and take a look at it. So that is how you open files quickly. Oops. There we go. Next, we're going to take a look at exporting. This is something that I know a lot of folks do out there, and basically what it allows you to do is take your information out of the HOBOware program and then bring it into something like Excel or a tab delimited or comment delimited CSV or TXT file. Let me just flip back over to HOBOware here and we'll pull up these preferences again. And there's quite a few different options here on your export settings. For our folks out there that are familiar with Boxcar, which is our older software for the H8s, what we did was we just have a default button, so you can click this and it will automatically set all the same settings as Boxcar. We do have some folks that are using both products. So when you go to set up your different types, we have the text or the Excel. The Excel is actually something new that got added in 3.1. You can have your different delimiters. You can separate things. What I'd like to do is actually click this so we have separate the date and time. One of the other things that I'd like to have in here is include sensor serial number or label. And really this is important if you're working with the U30 or the energy logger or the microstation where you may have multiple sensors of the same type and you've put in a description, so it allows you to differentiate between your different temperature series. Again, you have your different date formats, different time formats, and again, how you want to show some numbers. Now, there is one feature in here, which is automatically export the table or your data when you read it out. So this is one way to do this on an individual basis. But what I'm going to do is show you next basically how to use what we call our bulk export tool. So I'm just going to unclick this. And let's just make sure we've got everything set up. So it looks good. What I'm going to do here is hit OK. Now the bulk export tool, some of you may or may not be familiar with that. And let me just flip back to PowerPoint here. So the bulk export tool is something new that we've started including with HOBOware in version 3.1. Before, this was a separate download that you had to get. So if you don't have the tools up here, what I recommend doing is going to help and check for updates. And so if you're not up to version 3.1.2, this will actually prompt you to download the latest version, which is going to include our bulk export feature in here. So we're going to come to Tools, Bulk Export, and then select Files to export. So what I'm going to do is go back to my desktop, and we have the files here. I have all 8 files. I have a couple small ones and a couple large files here, but what we're going to do is just select all, and then we go Continue. And now it's going to ask me where do I want to save this. Again, I'll just throw this back out on the desktop. We'll create a new folder called Export, and we're going to save everything in here. And now what you do is you hit Export and you sit back. And it just went cranking through 8 files, and you're done. So pretty easy way to take your Hobo files and make them into CSV files. Now just to take a look and see what you end up with. Now we open up our export file here. So what I have now is I have my 8 files that are all CSV files. I'll just open up one of these quickly here in Excel, and you can see basically the data that you've gotten here. And just taking a look back, sorry, there is a text document here that basically tells you what you did. So if for whatever reason you thought you downloaded or converted X number of files, this is going to be attached with all of these files here for you. So pretty quick and easy way, especially if you're dealing with, let's say, hundreds of files. This is a quick way to really get you from HOBOware into a CSV or an Excel type of a file. All right, let's just take a look at one more thing. I guess if there are any questions out there, please feel free to type those in as we're going along here. And again, I'll try to answer these as we go. So finally, one of the last things here is there's a bunch of pop-up warnings throughout HOBOware. And as you can see, there's different scenarios, and in some cases, you want to keep those there, and in other cases you may want to bypass them. So again, this is something that happens within the preferences. And so we're going to come up to File and again down to Preferences. And in this case, it's actually under Warnings, and we have all of these here. For the time being, before you get used to HOBOware, what I'd recommend is probably leaving these all checked until you get to a point of where you're comfortable in terms of what you're doing. If there's multiple people using the same computer, you may want to leave these all checked, just so if somebody else is not as familiar, they can see these things here. But there'll be different warnings. If the logger's still currently logging, it'll flash something up for you and just warn you, do you really want to read this out? So that's basically something that we can do here. And what I do recommend, and we'll cover this at another time, but really take a look through all the different preferences. There's a bunch of things in here that you can do, especially when you get into some of the plotting features and the data assistance and how you want to display your data, and all that sort of good stuff. So with that, that's how you turn off some of the pop-up warnings. And that wraps up today's webinar. And it looks like we don't have any questions at this point. And one thing I would like to point out is for additional training materials, we do have a lot of information up on our YouTube site. So be sure you take a look at that. This webinar will be up there later, as well as last month's and quite a few other tutorials on how to use the HOBOware software. To the website and to our newsletters. Again, here's our contact information here, so if you have any questions, that's how to get in touch with me. We are now running tech support hours 8 to 8 Eastern Time, Monday to Friday. So feel free to call in, or we do have an online chat that you can talk to the folks as well, or email. And then, of course, if you need any assistance from our sales folks, also known as product application specialists, feel free to give them a buzz and they can help guide you through. So thank you again, and have a great day.